Some say the forest holds all the answers to life. Yet the system tells us a weed is a wild plant growing where it's not wanted, and it's in competition with cultivated plants, so we need to remove it. And poisons are the quickest and easiest solution. We're often led to believe that nature's against us and that we need to control our food systems with chemicals and poisons and monitored environments to avoid disease. Yet forests have lived in cooperation, thriving long before humans even set foot on this planet. What does the forest know that we simply don't understand?
My name is Rodrigo. I work for Syntropic Solutions. I'm from Brazil. I've been living here in Australia for 8 years. Came to do Syntropy and try to spread the word of Syntropy. So here I am.
My journey into Syntropic Agroforestry began just 8 months ago when I met Tiago and Rodrigo, probably the most passionate couple of blokes I've met in a long time. From that very first weekend, I was hooked, captivated, because they were using language that I understood, and it was completely in alignment with everything that I've come to know about our health, well-being, and our relationships with nature. Weeds? Are you kidding me? A concept sold to us long ago by companies wanting to profit off our ignorance. Rodrigo calls them volunteers. A wild plant playing a very important role in bringing back balance to our soils. Today, Rodrigo's come out to visit Wedgetail Views to transfer some of his profound knowledge and management of our first Syntropic Agroforestry plot.
The principles are the things that we don't change. That's the principles of nature, of the forest, or even like principles of life in this planet, right? So, biodiversity, right? Different plants from different families doing different things in the soil, above the ground. So the plants help each other in many ways, providing shade for the ones that like to be in shade, helping in the soil, like to fix nitrogens, like legumes, palm trees, many different ways. So then we have the principle of maximize the photosynthesis, right? Which means we want the plants to occupy the space to get the sunlight through the leaves of the plant, right? So the leaves are the solar panel of the trees or the plants. So they catch the sun, put into the soil, and make the photosynthesis, right? So that's one principle. Succession, right? Things that you're going to plant that you've seen already that grows in 25 days, like radish, 35 days. And then you have turmeric with 9 months, cassava with 9 months, 1 year, pigeon pea that can stay for 3 years in the system, eucalyptus in the future that can stay for 500 years in your system. So analyze, how we're going to design your new projects there, or even here if you have to introduce new things, if that's your desire. And then we have stratification. Remember the stratification? Light requirement of the plants? Yep. So that's some plants, they like to be in full sun, some of them like to be in shade, some of them part in shade, part shade. Some of them, they need to be like on top of all the other ones. They don't like anyone above them. So they are the emergent ones. So stratification and covering the soil. Remember that too much mulch is never enough, right?
Yeah, right.
So how are we going to do that? what's your contest here? You have a chipper, which is amazing. You have a lot of weeds around, tobacco bush, lantana.
Isn't that part of what chopping pigeon tree down does?
Absolutely. But you're going to see for the next 2 or 3 years that that's not enough. It's not enough organic matter to feed the system.
Okay.
So you need a lot of organic matter. So that's why you have to plant more, denser.
Right.
With not just the short life cycle ones, because I haven't been there, but I think you only have short life cycle plants. If you think in a forest, right? You don't have eucalyptus that can stay for 500 years there. Banana can stay for a long time, especially if you don't have timber trees. Pigeon pea, 2-3 years.
Right.
What else do you have there?
We planted another support species. What was that?
Tree lucerne.
Tree lucerne.
Amazing, but it's not a long life cycle plant. It's
Doesn't grow as fast as a pigeon pea here.
but it's not the speed of the if it's a fast growing or slow growing plant.
Right.
It's the life cycle of the plant.
Right, okay.
If you compare eucalyptus with a pigeon pea is faster than eucalyptus, but it doesn't produce the same amount of organic matter to chop and drop. And not going to stay for too long in the system.
Yeah.
Once you have the canopy of the plants that you want, the timber trees and the fruit trees, you're not going to have space for pigeon pea. That can take like 5, 6, 7 years, depending what you want, what's your contest, how you want to manage the system. Management.
Right.
Okay? Management is the key. So, you know about agroforestry, right?
Only the basics.
Which Syntropy is a type of agroforestry. But the difference between agroforestry and Syntropy is the management.
Right.
In Syntropy is way more management. What's the benefits of the management? That's what we're going to focus today.
Well, the way I understand it is you produce your own organic matter, so you keep adding to the soil and building the soil layers.
Perfect.
And also, depending on the type of plant, I know the Yuki's pretty big on this, is that gerardoic acid, the release growth hormones that encourage your other fruit trees and that around it that you want to grow, because that's where the food production's in.
Perfect. That's perfect.
So they release these underground growth hormones, and then I guess part of that breaking down is that all of the mycelium and funguses get in and help the system communicate.
Yes,
It's
no,
about
that's
the basics
absolutely
of it.
right, but not just eucalyptus. Every plant that you have in the system, they release the gibberellic acid when you
Even
manage
pigeon
them. Pigeon pea,
Right.
bananas, even lettuce. If you're gonna go there and harvest the lettuce, the whole head, and leave the roots in the ground,
Yep.
their root system will release the gibberellic acid.
Okay.
Obviously, different amount,
Yeah.
different plants, different shape. You know, if you compare with a big tree, big gum tree, or red cedar, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but all of them, if you interact, managing, pruning back, pick the fruits or pick the leaf, they release the gibberellic acid. That's the natural succession. And the idea to do the management is to get there, like to open the area for the other plants of the succession to grow and to release the gibberellic in the soil, stimulate the other plants around, and provide the organic matter to feed the soil, to feed the plants, to feed the microorganisms that we have in the soil.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite. If you don't manage, you told me before, what's the opposite if you plant a syntropic system or agroforestry system and you don't manage the garden? What happens when you do that, when you don't manage the garden?
It just becomes overgrown,
And then?
I think certain species take over, don't they?
Yeah, but you spoke about
The-
senescence signal, remember?
Right, okay.
That's exactly the opposite of the stimulation. So, which means that the plants, that every plant has a life cycle, right? But the thing is, it's a very different interaction, right? When you get old, you require more support from other things, which is maybe a wheelchair, or maybe, My family needs to help me, to take me to the hospital. I can't go by myself anymore. I need to start to, have a different diet. So many things. This is our interaction on this life. But everything, like from this micro cell, is the same. The cells, they have a life cycle as well. Young cell, old cell, and then they die. It's the same for insects. It's the same for animals.
Yes.
They have a period that they can stay, but that's pretty much for everything, for the plants as well. There will be a time that the lettuce is going to start to slow down, and it's going to be old. You're going to feel that the leaves are not, sweet and crunchy. It's going to be yellow and bitter, bold, and that's the cycle. So the plant, the lettuce, will understand, okay, I'm going to die, I'm going to leave. So I'm going to send the flowers so we can get the seeds, and then drop the seeds and perpetuate here with the cycle. But the management is pretty much like that. When the plants get to the final or the end of the life cycle, you have to manage. You stimulate the plant, like I said, gibberellic acid. You're going to open the space. You're going to use the organic matter that plant grew, put in the soil, but it's not exactly formula that, I'm going to wait the pigeon pea to the end of the 3 years, so then I can manage. You're going to have your target plants, the plants that the main plants for you is the ones that you want to harvest to sell, or the ones that you want to harvest to feed the family.
Yes.
The way to exchange the nutrients with the plants is when a plant grows and take nutrients from the ground, from deep soil, from clay soil, and consolidate those nutrients in moisture, in minerals with organic matter, and you chop and drop on the ground, that's the way to share nutrients, right? Because every plant requires different nutrients. So you're going to have nutrients from eucalyptus, and then you're going to have bananas, and then you're going to have pigeon pea, and then you're going to have a full range of nutrients to make a beautiful soil.
Yeah.
That's what the forest does,
yeah.
right? No one goes to the forest saying, all right, let me drop the red cedar here so we can have more magnesium in the soil.
Yeah.
Over here I'm going to do the ficus because it has more potassium.
No.
So it's the whole thing together.
Yeah.
If you use the organic matter from the bush,
yeah.
it's amazing because it's from this soil, from this property.
Yeah.
Well, g'day, Syntropic Agroforestry. What a lesson with Rodrigo this morning. Well, I hope you got a lot out of that. That was awesome. So, yeah, we don't know a lot, but we've jumped in and had a go. So this is what it looks like now before we prune. I'll let you have a look at this. It's getting pretty thick. These pigeon peas are coming back. These are a tree lucerne. They're a tree lucerne, and the other support species we've got in here are these mulberries. Some mulberries. So that's what they look like. It's getting pretty bushy. There'd be about, what would there be? 8 months growth. This ground, before we started, was a black volcanic kind of clayey soil with about a 6.5 pH apparently. And I prepped this terrace with wood chip, tree bark chipping, you know, wood chips, and then I planted out the whole system with a variety of species, which I'll have a look at the bag and tell you exactly everything that was in it. Then we chopped and dropped that down. After that, that was just a summer crop. We chopped and dropped that, and then we covered it again in wood chip, and then we planted out a winter crop. That was how we started to get the soil going, and I've got to be honest, even after that small bit of treatment, it already had a nice little beautiful soft, I'll show you down here what it looks like, a soft soily composty top coat. And then we put the trees in, and then this is our first chop and drop session. So this is what it looks like after you prune. So it's much more thin, a lot more stratas getting in, a lot more light's going to get in. And of course, these are your target species, he calls them. So that one there's a fig tree. So obviously we started stacking. There's a blueberry. And then he said to put mulch over it. So I've done what I've told. We had, sorry, not mulch, chip bark. So I've gone and put that over. So it had all this pitch and pea chopped and dropped, and then I'll just put over the pile, because we've got a pile of it down the back here, right down there. So I'll put all that over. There's another one. That's a citrus tree. So we're hoping that some of this stuff that we had in the leaves that he talked about, leaf miner I think he called it, hopefully that'll clear up now as we get more soil microbe activity, microbiome, soil life. Fantastic, pretty exciting. So that's what they look like. We've got a hell of a lot more we're going to do right down the back here, and maybe Syntropic Solutions will be part of that, or maybe not, we'll find out. So there you go, that's a little bit of fun we're having. Hopefully in another 2 or 3 years we might have an abundance of fruit, more than we could possibly eat out here for the couple of us that live here, or 4 of us. So yeah, but good start. Anyone that's thinking of having a go, just get in and have a go. There was some feedback which you heard in the earlier video where we didn't have a couple of the later, the canopy layer and a couple others. The reason why I didn't do that, and that was out of my limited understanding, was I didn't want all of these massive trees leaning over my house, because you end up with shit in your gutters, and we catch our water and drink it, and it's hard enough keeping the roof clean as it is. However, I could have done canopy stories and just kept them chopped down a lot lower. But that's okay. We'll just see how this progresses. If we have to bring in external mulch like we've done here, bark chip, we can. Look at all the trees. We're surrounded by a rainforest, so there's absolutely no shortage of being able to put the carbon back into the system. Yeah. Anyway, we'll learn more as we go. So I hope you've enjoyed this edition. And yeah, there'll be a lot more to come. Alright, TTFN. Alrighty-roo. So, day's done. So this is about a 40 metre plot by 2 to 3 metres wide. And I think there's 6 to 8 target trees. So apples, limes, oranges, cherry, that sort of thing, right? A couple of figs. Prior to this terrace being put in, and the terrace was put in to stop the water running down our drive because it was just destroying the drive. Prior to the terrace going in, this whole area was lantana. There was a heap of it along the fence here, the cliff face along here, but I've cut most of it out prior to Rodrigo coming and showing us how to prune and manage the Syntropic system. But now I have not seen any lantana pop up anywhere in the system, anywhere along the whole 40 metres. So what that tells me is terrain is everything. The terrain is everything. So the lantana was doing a role. Yeah, it's an invasive species, blah, blah, blah. Heard it all before, and it's a big issue out here on this property. But if we've got this consortium of biodiversity in the system, then the lantana doesn't need to be there because other plants are doing its job, doing its role. So I'll keep an eye on it, but so far in 8 months, no lantana has grown back in this system. And I've done nothing to the system. I just planted it out, and I didn't even plant it out. I had cuts on my hands. I couldn't work that day. Really bad cut on my 2 fingers. So all my kids actually planted them out. But this whole thing was planted out and it's just sat there since. I watered it probably 4 times in a really dry patch, just with this hose I've got here. The rest of the time, the whole 8 months, we've just had natural rainfall. We're in a pretty high rainfall area. So this is what it looks like after the chop and drop. The management. After the management. So I'll put in extra mulch around all of the target plants. Here's another one. This is the fig. It's going really well. So this is what it looks like. There's another one. There's another little fella. Here's some of the orange trees. And what's really exciting is that this is, I'll turn around the other way because the sun's a bit better. So this is what 2 people, you could say with the extra chips that we put in, 2 people 1 day's work to manage 40 metres. So far, in 8 months, that's it. 2 people, a day's work, 8 months, that's all it's taken. Now, if I wanted to get a return out of this garden so far, I reckon that I could probably have, I'm only guessing, 30 kilos of ginger. The same, probably, of turmeric. And the other thing that's quite exciting about this is we're now going to be able to duplicate and continue to grow. So I'll never have to buy bananas on this property again. Have a look at this. So I've got these 2 that we took out of the system, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more that I've put in. So that's 6, plus the one that Elise wrecked would have been 7. So I've now got 7 new banana trees that I can put in, start growing them up, and get them ready for the next plant out next season. So I'll never have to buy bananas again. Like, that's fantastic. And I didn't show you this. Here's the pigeon pea. Look at all those pods. Bucket full of them. And I've given a heap to the chicken already. The chickens. And this is ready there for the chickens tomorrow. Look at it all. So I'll never have to buy pigeon pea again. I'll just plant those. Fucking hundreds of seeds there for the pigeon pea. So the system's already starting to give me a return and a reward in under 8 months. So I have no idea how much food's going to come out of this system once these trees start fruiting, and I don't know how long it'll be before the trees will fruit. I'm intrigued. I'm interested to know, am I going to get some return from this, from the work that I put in? And I haven't put in much. Initially I did some prep work and I put in a few days, but that was it. So, yeah. Syntropic Agroforestry. Love it. Thanks, boys. From Syntropic Solution. I can appreciate it. Look, and I've done all this from a free weekend course I did with them. So how about that? Gone in, discovered what they said, went out and applied it, and I didn't do it properly, but we've still got a system here that's giving us a return, that's constantly regenerating and giving us excess trees to use and continue to grow on the property. And fucking had no idea what I was doing. Just 2-day course. So, yeah, no, good on them. I appreciate everything that I've learnt from them. And hopefully, yeah, keep an eye on this. I'll keep you updated where it all heads. Good one. Fucking beauty. In the times ahead, I honestly believe that growing food and managing food systems using nothing but you and what you can grow on your own property is going to make the difference between survival and complete dependence on the system. I honestly believe that. Syntropic Agroforestry is a system that anybody can learn and use it in any situation to grow, manage and yield an abundance of food without the need or reliance on external inputs. I'm encouraging you, get started today. It doesn't matter if you're in an urban garden or small acreage. You can learn enough very quickly to begin your very own journey into Syntropic Agroforestry.